Hey everyone, it's Zoe here from Living with a Sleeve, back at you with another live session. I wanted to address overeating because overeating is a sleever's worst nightmare, and if you have done it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. There's usually pain, there's burping, there's regurgitation, there's foamies, bloating, and you just feel awful. So I wanted to kind of get you some, simple tips so that you can avoid overeating and not get to that point of discomfort after meals. Okay, so there are a couple of things that you can do. There's 5 I'm going to talk about today. The first one is, before you eat, ask if you're actually hungry. So this is super important because if you're not physically hungry, if you eat a little bit too much, it's going to quickly push you over the edge. So instead, before you eat, try to figure out, if you're not physically hungry, why you want to eat and what else you can do to distract yourself. If you're not sure if you're physically hungry or not, or if it's been less than 3 hours since you've eaten last time, then give yourself a little bit more time. Maybe have a glass of water, have a drink, come back. You might be actually just thirsty, bored, tired, or stressed, or eating for a number of other reasons. So if it has been more than 3 hours since you ate last time, then you could actually be physically hungry. That's sort of a good rule of thumb, I think, that 3 hours since you last ate. But just make sure that you choose wisely as well. So my second biggest tip to avoid overeating is to invest in small bowls and plates. So using small bowls and plates, you'll have less temptation to eat what's on your plate. You know that old adage, lots of us have grown up being told that we have to finish everything on our plate. And so if your plate is too big and the portion you've served yourself is therefore too big, you're going to find it more difficult to kind of stop and not overeat, all right? If you've got a smaller plate, a smaller bowl, then it's much easier to actually stop, and you can always go back and get some more if you're still hungry at the end of that portion. But 9 times out of 10, if you serve your own portion, and once you've given your eyes a chance to catch up to how big your stomach is, most of the time people will find that they actually don't need more, all right? They don't need to go back for seconds. Now, once you've got your bowl and your plate, or your plate sitting in front of you with your food on it, my next biggest tip is focus on how you eat. So if you can focus on how you eat, get these habits right, then that's one of the biggest keys to success in the long term with the sleeve. So if you have them right, you'll be less likely to overeat. And we know that overeating over a long period of time can contribute to slightly stretching that sleeve. So we really want to be making sure that we're eating just what we feel like and not overdoing it. So when you do sit down to eat, make sure that you're taking small mouthfuls. So I usually say to my clients about thumbnail size mouthfuls, or maybe half to a teaspoon is another guide. A blueberry, that sort of size, is another one, a big fat blueberry probably. And make sure that you chew it properly too. So really take time to taste it, chew it, rest between each mouthful, and aim to take 20 to 30 minutes to eat your meal. If you're taking less than 20 minutes to eat your meal, it's much more likely that you'll overeat because your stomach doesn't actually have a chance to tell your brain that it's had enough. So if you can slow down, take your time, eat without distractions, and this is my next tip, number 4, is actually concentrate on what you're doing, because if we eat in front of the TV or our phone or our computer or any number of other distractions, we're less likely to be able to kind of pick up the cue from our stomach telling us when we've had enough. So I like to think of a hunger scale of 0 to 10, where 0 is I'm so hungry that I could eat my own fingers, and 10 is that feeling you get when you want to vomit after Christmas Day lunch. You feel like you're just rolling around, you're so full you feel sick. You want to stay between a 3 and a 7 if possible. So you want to try to stop eating at a 7, which in my mind is I'm satisfied but I'm not quite full yet. So I probably could fit 1 or 2 more mouthfuls in, but I don't actually need to. All right, so just before that full moment. And this takes a while to to kind of figure out and to practice. Now, my biggest super tip for avoiding to overeating is what I call the sigh moment. And this is number 5 of my 5 tips today, and this is the most important thing, but you have to be concentrating to notice it. So I call it the sigh moment. It's when you're sitting and you're eating a meal. We will be eating and eating and eating, and then all of a sudden you'll pause for a second and you go, most of us then keep eating and eating and eating. But if you stop then, that's your body telling you that you have had enough, all right? It's a nervous system response feeding information back from your stomach to your brain. So that moment should be about a 7 out of 10. And when you notice it and you stop and you do that a few times, you will get the feeling of how magic that sigh moment is, just for helping us to understand when the time is right, that we've had enough, and really helps to avoid overeating. So if you can do one thing after watching this video, I would really encourage you to start looking for the sigh moment. But remember that the other tips help you to get there. So the first one is before you eat, ask if you're actually hungry. The second one is serve smaller portions on smaller bowls and plates. The third one is focus on how you eat, and concentrate is the fourth one. And the fifth biggest, most important one is look for the sigh moment. So I would love to know if you try it. Please comment below. Let me know if it works for you, if you notice anything different in terms of how you feel when you stop at that sigh moment compared to normal. Maybe when you're focusing on what you eat and how you eat, maybe you notice something in terms of maybe the flavors of your food. I would love to hear more. So please send me a comment. And if there's any topic that you would like me to cover in one of these live sessions, you can either send me a private message, an email, so zoe@zoewilsonnutrition.com, or you can visit the website as well, livingwithasleeve.com, and let me know if there's anything else that you'd like me to cover, and I'll do it in one of these sessions for you. No problems. Thanks so much for joining, everyone, and I will see you soon. Have a great weekend. Bye.